Yes or no? Did he make those remarks or remarks to that effect?
Prime Minister.
No, Mr. Speaker, and I think the right honourable gentleman.
Oh, yes, here we go. Yes. My final form, sir. Yes.
Boris Johnson goes fully. Oh wow, let us see.
That's the end of questions of Secretary of State for Scotland. We're now going to come to the questions for the Prime Minister.
Mr. Prime Minister.
I will first call the Prime Minister to answer the engagements question, and then I will call Andrew Jenkins to ask her supplementary. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I know the thoughts of members across the House are with the people of India. We're supporting India with vital medical equipment, and we will continue to work closely with the Indian authorities to determine what further help they may need.
Winston Churchill style.
Mr. Speaker, I also welcome last week's Court of Appeal decision to overturn the convictions of 39 former sub-postmasters in the Horizon dispute, an appalling injustice. Sir Wyn Williams is leading an ongoing independent inquiry that will report this summer. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Let's go to Andrew Jenkins. Andrew.
Oh no, scuffed. Scuffed.
You're on mute, I think, Andrew.
Oh my dear, I believe you're on mute. Yes, yes, it's a colloquial in the internet we find ourselves here, yes. Yeah, oh, still muted. Boomer energy. Boomer energy.
Tell the more about
yes.
the MQ.
Oh, yes.
Sure
Won't let that woman speak like the good old days. Yes, fantastic. They weren't even allowed in the room. Oh my gosh.
Can't do it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try and come back. I'm going to go to Leader of the Opposition.
Oh, wow. Did not get to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I join the Prime Minister in his remarks about the humanitarian disaster?
I gotta say, this is so entertaining. Well, like, good form, Brits, you know, in the middle of all this, you know, like, I don't want to sit through Mitch McConnell. Like, have you listened to that? It's like,
oh, hold on, I'd like to present Mr. Speaker, said here, apparently, if we were just...
And you're like, oh, god damn, this goes on apparently for like 37 minutes. But this is great. This is fantastic. Quick fire, rapid fire, everyone's real spicy. Everyone's pretty angry, you know, little seasoning. I'm loving it.
I know the UK has already committed some support, but given the scale and gravity of the disaster, I hope the Foreign Secretary will set out today what more the UK will do to help the Indian people in their hour of need. Can I also join the Prime Minister in his remarks about the Post Office case and ongoing injustice? And of course, today is International Workers' Memorial Day.
Ramses, you have a large Indo-Canadian population. We do. We have a very large Sikh population. It's fucking amazing. There's a lot of incredible people here. Are they getting treated poorly due to the whole double mutation and banning of air transit in India, like anti-Asian attacks? They certainly have been, but they haven't been as dramatic as the anti-Asian attacks towards people who appear to be Chinese, whether they are Korean, Japanese, it doesn't matter. If you happen to resemble anything that someone perceives as being Chinese, they're the ones getting the brunt of attacks, unfortunately. And they're even getting attacks from Indo-Canadians Canadians as well. It's like it's just horrifying all around. They're the ones who have seen the largest increase in hate crimes in both this province and city, unfortunately.
And this day, this year, after all the sacrifices, our frontline workers have...
Wait, you're lucky what you're doing here is illegal to do in the UK. You can't use footage from the House in satire, arrestable offense. So, okay, I had a question because someone, I was supposed to join Trash... what are they? Trash Pod Radio? Or I forget the name of it. Anyways, they were like, oh, by the way, Lance, like, we weren't going to do this live. We were going to pre-record this because we don't know. You might say something that could get us arrested. And I was like, what? Does that apply to me if I travel to England? Like, obviously, I can't do the show in England, fine. But if I, Trash Future, thank you. But if I became a Trash Future by going to Britain, and I started to, like, if they were like, you know, oh, Mr. Lance, we see that you happen to have quite a few Boris clips here. Yeah, it's quite a large selection on the internet. Yeah, and that's jail for you. Do not pass go. Do not collect 100. Like, I would not want to. I don't want to go to prison, just for this, you know.
Made during the pandemic.
It's technically sedition to try and convince.
Than usual.
It's technically sedition to try convincing an on-duty RCMP officer to quit their job. Really? Actually? So I shouldn't do that live. I guess I shouldn't even do that to people I meet. I shouldn't be like, you should stop doing your job, sir, because they'll be like, yeah, and now you're going to jail.
I join in solidarity with all those mourning loved ones today.
And there's only a sceptre,
Mr. Speaker, it
golden
reported
sceptre for
this
everyone.
week, including in the Daily Mail, the BBC and ITV, backed up by numerous sources, that at the end of October, the Prime Minister said he would rather have, and I quote, bodies pile high
Nice.
than implement another lockdown.
Fuck
Can the
yeah.
Prime Minister tell
Oh,
the
it's
House
popping off.
categorically, yes or no, did he make those remarks or remarks to that effect?
Prime Minister.
No, Mr. Speaker, and I think the right honourable gentleman.
Yes, here we go. Yes. My final form, sir. Yes.
He should come to this House and substantiate those allegations and say where he heard them and who exactly is supposed to have said those. Who exactly is supposed to have said those things, Mr. Speaker? Because
you're the one who's accused of it. It's people who were beside you. They're like, no, you most certainly said that. Yes, no, there's no quibbling about this one. Yes, no, he said that out loud right in front of us. All of us, we saw it, we heard it. Yes, no, he said it. Yes, it's not like this is up for debate.
Who, I ask you all here, who in fact said those words that may or may not have come out of someone's mouth, may or may not have happened? Perhaps you, sir, perhaps, with the golden sceptre I see over there.
I certainly can tell him, and he asked about the October decisions. They were very bitter, very difficult decisions, as they would be for any Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, because no one wants to put this country into a lockdown with all the consequences that means for loss of education, for the damage to people's life chances.
So, okay, getting this clear, his defense here is that who in fact said that? Who could have said such a thing that would say a thing as egregious as the thing you suggested that was said? But by the way, it would be a terrible thing if the country was locked down, the very thing that someone may have said out loud that the bodies should pile high to the floor before we unlock it, because again, horrible, horrible action.
To the huge medical backlog that it entails. But it was thanks to that lockdown, the tough decision that we took, Mr. Speaker, and thanks to the heroic efforts of the British people, that we have got through to this stage in the pandemic where we find ourselves rolling out our vaccine, where we've done 50% of the population, 25% of the adult population have now had 2 doses,
Damn,
Mr. Speaker.
that is good.
And I want to...
Not gonna lie.
Lockdowns
I envy
are
that.
miserable. Lockdowns are appalling things to have to do, but I have to say that I believe that we had absolutely no choice.
Yes, Sir.
Well, somebody here isn't telling the truth. The House will have heard the Prime Minister's answer, and I remind him the Ministerial Code says, and I quote, ministers who knowingly mislead Parliament will be expected to offer their resignation.
Oh my.
I'll leave it there for now. Turning to another issue.
It's just going to be, just going to leave that there, like a little fart in the middle of the room.
There'll be further on this. There'll be further on this, believe you me. Who initially, and Prime Minister, initially is the key word here, who initially paid for the redecoration of his Downing Street flat?
Oh shit, son.
Mr. Speaker, when it comes to misleading Parliament, he may recollect that it was only a few weeks ago that he said that he didn't oppose this government, this country staying in the leaving the European Medicines Agency. The fact that he was then forced
Fucking pivot, bro. Not gonna lie, shady debate tactics. Didn't answer the question, bro. It's going down here.
Actually, it was just last week that he said that James Dyson. He said that James Dyson was a personal friend of mine. A fact
pivot.
that James Dyson was corrected in the newspaper this morning. As for the latest stuff that he's bringing up, he should know that I paid for Downing Street refurbishment personally, Mr.
Personally,
Speaker, and I
came from my own coffers. A couple of pounds will I do if I do say so myself.
Any further declaration that I have to make, I will, if any, I will be advised upon by Lord Guide. But if he talks about housing costs, Mr. Speaker, then the people of this country can make their own decision in just 8 days' time. Because on average, Labour councils charge you £93 more in Band D, the Conservative councils, and Liberal Democrat councils charge you £120 more. That, I think, is the issue. That, I think, is the issue upon which the British people would like him to focus.
Yes, Sir.
Phew, not gonna lie, Boris is good at what he does. I mean, he's an utter clown. He's the buffoon of the highest order. But you know, that was aggressive. He knows his debate tactics. He studied well. I think one of our PMs lost their job once over a pile of planks that he didn't pay for himself. Really? If only Canadian politics were like this. I mean, Canadian politics can get a little bit like, it's the same system. There's no golden scepter, but it is usually people just throwing barbs back at each other. But it's so much more Canadian. Mr. Speaker, I think all Canadians should be aware that the Conservative Party of Canada is not one worth trusting. You know, you're like, but this is great.
Mr. Speaker,
All right, here
normally
we
when
go.
people don't want to incriminate themselves, they go no comment. Let me ask this. Let's explore this a bit further, Prime Minister. Let's ask it a different way. Either, this is the initial invoice, Prime Minister, initial invoice, either the taxpayer paid the initial invoice, or it was the Conservative Party, or it was a private donor, or it was the Prime Minister. So I'm making it easy for the Prime Minister. It's
He's
now
not a buffoon, it's all
multiple
act.
choice.
Yeah, I believe it.
There are only 4 options. It should be easier than finding the chatty rat, Mr. Speaker. So I ask the Prime Minister again, who paid the initial invoice, Prime Minister,
He's
for the
gonna pivot all over
redecoration
this.
of the Prime Minister's flat? The initial invoice.
Gonna
Prime
pivot.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I've given him the answer, and the answer is I have covered the costs, and I think most people will find it absolutely bizarre. And of course, there's an electoral commission investigating this, and I can tell him that I've conformed in full with the code of conduct, with ministerial code, and officials have been have been advising me throughout this whole thing. But I think people will think it absolutely bizarre.
Hey, what up, Lawsu?
that he is
Everyone go
focusing
with the Streets on
on
TV
this
/Lawsu.
issue.
Give him a follow.
When what people want to know is what plans the Labour government might have to improve the life of people in this country. And let me tell you, if he talks about housing again, we're helping people on the house. I'd rather not spend taxpayers' money, by the way, like the last Labour government, who spent £500,000 of taxpayers' money on the Downing Street flat. I'd rather, if I would, yes they did, tarting it up. I would much rather
Outrageous.
help people get on the property ladder, and it's this Conservative government that has built 244,000 homes in the last year, which is a record over 30 years. This is a government that gets on with delivering on the people's priorities, while he continually raises, I think, issues that most people would find irrelevant to their concerns.
Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, he talks of priorities. What's he spending his time doing? This is a Prime Minister who, during the pandemic, was nipping out of meetings to choose wallpaper at £840 a roll.
Oh, snap.
Just last week, he spent his time phoning journalists
£840
to moan about his old
a roll.
friend Dominic Cummings. And
My
he's telling the
word.
civil service to find out who paid for the redecoration of his flat. The Cabinet Secretary has been asked to investigate who paid for the refurbishments in the flat. Why doesn't the Prime Minister just
Who
tell him?
paid for the wallpaper?
That would be the end of the
Mr.
investigation.
Prime Minister, who paid for the
Mr.
wallpaper?
Speaker, it's been widely reported that Lord Brownlow, who just happens to have been given a peerage by the Conservative
Lord Brownlow?
was asked to donate
Unfortunate name.
£58,000 to help repay for the cost of this refurbishment. Can the Prime Minister, if he's so keen to answer, confirm, did Lord Brownlow make that payment for that purpose?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think I've answered this question several times now, and the answer is that I have covered the costs. I have met the requirements that I've been obliged to meet in full. And when it comes to the taxpayer and the costs of...
So if you're just tuning in, right now, this leader of obviously a G7 nation is debating the use of expensive wallpaper to refurbish his little space. And that's what 2 grown men are talking about in Parliament right now.
Number 10 Downing Street. It was the previous Labour government. I think Tony Blair racked up a bill of £350,000. And I think what the people
Yeah,
of this country
and like political puppy's right. Covered the cost after the fact, right? And it's like, no, obviously I paid for this thing in full. The receipts are to be seen. It was after I was told, of course.
see is minimising taxpayer expense. They want to see a government that's focused on their needs and delivering more homes for the people of this country and cutting council tax, which is what we're doing. And it's on that basis that I think people are going to judge our
Debate
parties
bros.
on May the 6th.
Keir Starmer.
Answer the question. That's what the public's scream at their televisions every PMQs, answer the question. The Prime Minister hasn't answered the question. He knows he hasn't answered the question. He never answers the question. The Prime Minister will be aware that he's required to declare any benefits that relate to his political activities, including loans or credit arrangements, within 28 days. 28 days, Prime Minister, yes. He will also know that any donation must be recorded in the register of ministers' interests, and that under the law, any donation of over £500 to a political party must be registered and declared. So the rules are very clear. Yeah. The Electoral Commission now think that there are reasonable grounds to suspect that an offence or offences may have occurred. That's incredibly serious. Can the Prime Minister tell the House, does he believe that any rules or laws have been broken in relation to the refurbishment of the Prime Minister's flat?
Prime Minister.
No, I don't, Mr. Speaker.
I don't. You can go fuck yourself.
To break the point is the credulity of the public. He has half an hour every week to put serious and sensible questions to me about the state of the pandemic, about the vaccine rollout, about what we're doing to support our NHS, about what we're doing to fight.
I'm not gonna lie, getting bodied here. It's just it's all about rhetoric. You know, the content. You're probably completely right. He probably did blow a whole bunch of money on wallpaper, fancy wallpaper, I don't know, made of the finest silkworms or something like that, but it doesn't matter now. Everyone forgets about that. We just see you getting yelled at.
About what we're doing to bounce back from this pandemic, about the economic recovery, about jobs for the people of this country. And he goes on and on, Mr. Speaker, about wallpaper when, as I've told him umpteen times now, I paid for it.
Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, can I remind the Prime Minister of the Nolan Principles, which are meant to govern the behaviour of those in public office? They're these: selflessness, integrity, objectivity.
No one cares about this.
Accountability.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this is the British equivalent of when they go low, we go high. You know, but it's so much worse. It's so much worse. It's objectively worse on every single level. God damn. The fuck. Have you ever thought about the rules and regulations that we all took the crowd? Do you remember the code? What you said, those solemn words out loud in front of millions of people, that you would uphold the honour and dignity and stature of your body at all times? Like,
honesty.
No one cares.
And leadership. Instead, what do we get from this Prime Minister and this Conservative government? Dodgy contracts, jobs for their mates, and cash for access. And who's at the heart of it? The Prime Minister, Major Sleaze, sitting there. Mr. Speaker,
just name calling this round.
He talks about priorities. Crime is going up. NHS waiting lists are at record levels.
There you go.
And millions of people are worried about their jobs, including Liberty Steel. Mr. Speaker, don't the British people deserve a Prime Minister they can trust?
Did my SAT
and
yesterday.
Nice. That is mired in
Congrats, that's not easy.
cronyism and scandal.
Mr. Speaker, last week he came to this chamber and he attacked me for talking to James Dyson about ventilators, where we're now sending ventilators to help the people of India. And the following day, Mr. Speaker, the Labour front bench said that any Prime Minister in my position would have done exactly
getting
the same
steamrolled.
thing.
Sorry to say it. Sorry to say it. Started out strong. There was clearly, he got under his skin a little bit. You know, Boris lost his cool, but by the end of it, Boris is. I would walk out of this being like, well, you know what? The guy who yelled louder, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. He sounds more outraged than the other guy. The other guy's talking about something, honor, I can't remember. I was too bored. But the other one, he yells, and he bites, and that's got my vote.
Hey, do you like movies? Do you like Serfs? Do you want movies and Serfs watching the movies? So then come over to the new channels. It's the Serfs cinema. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Can you do the thing, you know, that thumbs up and comment and all those things that help us out in the algorithm that controls every aspect of our lives? Also, if you happen to have a Facebook account, can you delete it? Like, just delete it. You should probably delete your Facebook account because it's not a great company. But hey, if you can't do that for whatever reason, I understand. And could you also go to facebook.com/thesurftimes then and give us a little like and a follow. We're just trying to push back against the fact that people like Ben Shapiro happen to dominate the platform entirely.
And when everyone asks why do older generations believe the things they believe, one of the problems is the majority of them on social media use Facebook. So to counter that, we're just going to be on there too now. Also, if you happen to have a union or a worker co-op or even a leftist project, podcast, website, Zoom, MySpace, it doesn't matter. We will advertise it for free on this channel. All you got to do is go to weareserfs.com and use the forms that we got there, weareserfs.com. Thanks, everybody.
To our gods, I'm Raft and Xander Corvus. We shall build golden idols in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker. Our soft, spongy flesh is yours to command. To our lords, Evan Nudie, Trevor R., Alexander Thaler, Ryan Lubin, Bisexual Black Gamer, Tofox, and Jeffrey Lamb, we proudly carry your sigils onto the battlefield. And to our Knights of the Round Table, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Multi Mondi, Timothy Hart, Trevor Janis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophagic, Saren 42, Chronic to Hemphog, Callie Kotka, The Great Pudini, Von Janny, Catherine, Radical Maniac, Ramon Acosta, Encosin, J. Fraser Cartwright, Jimmy Bignuts, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Political Puppy, Andreas Chiringuito, Zach Christensen, Nicholas Marks, Jopi, Josh Mickelson, Melissa Murphy, Todd Buckingham, Todd Lajeunesse, and Constance Joyce Lacheris. We tip our cap and lift our mug and salute you.